So in this training, we're going to be looking at content marketing. Content marketing, one of the main pillars of your business at any time, but especially when you are a freelancer, a teacherpreneur. If you have good content and you know how to market it well yourself, you can literally catapult yourself and your business somewhere in another world. You really can. My content marketing has allowed me to have my some of my businesses and brands monetized by Facebook in as little as 12 months, literally just using what I call the logical approach. Let's not complicate it. So you're going to be looking at some things in this training taken from my own business, my own blueprints with some of the stats from and the data from my own business. Now, you've probably encountered the words content marketing many times. It's a popular phrase, especially now when there are literally billions of websites on the internet, all competing for people's attention. Now, millions of tutors and teachers today are also competing against each other and for the attention of clients, because since the pandemic in particular, the online industry of education has become flooded. People don't want to go into schools, they don't want to be at risk, they want to work at home. So what this has done is that it's really driven down, in a sense, the demand for online teachers, and at the same time it's driven down the rate of pay. That might be one of the reasons why you are here. In fact, you may feel like one of these people. You may feel that you are just one of many, of millions or thousands of teachers in the online industry, and you wouldn't be wrong. But you can change that. And one way that you can change that is by having a really good strategy. It's the only way that you are going to stand out from the crowd. Now, you can have all the tools and all the resources, as I've said before, but if your strategy is pants, they're going to be worthless. They're going to be useless if you want to catapult yourself into the next stage of where you want to be in your business. So it's all about strategy. Now, standing out from the crowd is harder today than it probably was last year or 5 years ago. And one of the reasons is the pandemic. It's just driven everything online. Absolutely everything. It's made the competition really, really hard. But at the same time, lots of different platforms, social media and digital platforms, have optimized this situation and given marketers, business owners, freelancers, small business owners, as well as brand owners, lots of different tools and resources to implement really good marketing strategies, which are going to help you with your content marketing. Now, you can spend tons of money getting your brand and your products in front of your target audience, or you can create a solid marketing plan, a solid content marketing strategy. And you can do that today because of social media and digital marketing, absolutely free or for minimal cost. Of course, the trade-off is that you're not going to be spending lots of money up front, but you are going to be investing your time instead. Now, let's have a little look at my content marketing strategy. This is basically a very basic version of my content marketing strategy. So I always listen to my client's persona. I don't create products and services and then go and sell it. I think it's a silly way to go around things. If you're a teacher, I think it's wise to listen to what clients and audiences and students want. It's part of market research. Today, there are far too many marketers that say, you're already amazing, your products and your services are already amazing. Now all you need to do is just niche down and go and sell it. I think that's an absolute back to front way of doing things. And I think it's a huge waste of time and a bigger waste of money. I think it's more intelligent to find out exactly what people want and then take what you already know or you already have. If you're a teacher, for example, you already have a certain services that you want to sell, then I would pivot them towards what people want. It's not about completely changing it, it's about formulating it to a given market need. Now, you need to do that because you are in business. And at the same time that you're doing that, you need to identify the difference between a want and a need, a want and a need in the marketplace. And the reason I'm telling you this, I'm going to tell you a little story. Actually, one of my businesses, my additional businesses, is in e-commerce. 2 or 3 months into the world lockdown, nobody could go anywhere. Holidays were cancelled. People were losing their jobs, their houses. One of my businesses was booming in selling French handmade basket bags. We sold thousands of them. Thousands of them, and I just could not get my head around it because nobody could use them. You couldn't go on holiday. So it's a clear demonstration that people buy what they want over what they need always. So when you're listening to your buyer's persona, you also need to tune into what you think they want and need and what they think they want and need. There's kind of sometimes a parallel between the two. In fact, sometimes you might even feel that you're in a parallel universe, because I certainly did when I was seeing all these sales coming in for handmade baskets. Anyway, I divulge. Let's go on. So we've done the listening and buyer's personas. Really, 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 really important part of the process. Next, you need to decide on the themes and topics when you are thinking about creating your content marketing. So this is important. So the themes that you are going to be basing your content on and how you're going to create that. So creating the content. Now, on social media, video posts do a lot better, and animated posts do a lot better than static posts. If you're just going to post a picture and a whole load of text, Facebook kind of doesn't do much with that. I wouldn't say it defavors it, but definitely doing lives and video ads and animated things do a lot better on social media. The same with YouTube, because it's all done by voice activation, Instagram, and now we have Reels, and obviously you have Instagram competing with TikTok. So all of those different social media platforms are going to give you a whole vast array and choice of what type of content you want to create, what you're happy with, and where your audience is going to be residing as well. You then have to think about promoting the content. How are you going to promote the content? You can promote a lot of your content for free by obviously creating this big conversion process within content marketing. And then once you see that it's working well, so you're measuring and evaluating it, once you see certain types of content are doing well, that is when I give it a little push with an ad. A tiny little ad, a little push, help it go a little bit further. And the reason why it's intelligent to break all of these different parts of the marketing cycle down is that you are going to repurpose them. You're going to repurpose them, maybe not daily, but you are going to repurpose them frequently in your business. So it's important that you clearly identify what is what and what you have put into each one. The other reason for that is because you need to think of this like a pipeline, and if something isn't working well, it's easier for you to take this apart and identify the problem area or the area where you need to tweak things or improve things. So that's why I really break it down like this to start with. Okay. So, what exactly will content marketing help you do in addition to all the other things that we have mentioned? Well, it will help you establish a really strong brand identity. And brand is so important today. It's important for businesses of all sizes. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you are a teacher of maths, or you are um, a massager, a masseur, or whatever you're in, whether you're a skincare specialist, whatever it is, brand is really, really important. Why is it important? Because when people see a brand, they perceive your services as an essential part of success. Basically, in the most basic form. And it's more importantly, it's how they are going to separate you from just your normal Joe blogs, your teacher John, or your teacher Anne. It's much better for you to have a brand, because it helps you define yourself more in the marketplace. Now, let's just have a little look at a brand funnel. Now, when you work with content marketing, you inject your personality into the top of the funnel here. This is what you're doing. And you're doing this with your lives, with your videos, with your blogs, with your lead magnets. That's you. You're putting all of your personality into the top of your market. And I do this from lots of different angles. That's what all of these arrows are from. I'm always trying different things. I'm always testing with different types of content and seeing how that works in the market, because the market is constantly changing and moving as well. So you can't just stick to one thing. If one thing's really working and working well, stick with it, but also create lots of different types of content. And in the next lesson, we're going to be looking at actually how you're going to do that. So don't worry too much about that at the moment. So we're at the top of the brand funnel. When you start injecting your personality into it, what you're doing is you're creating awareness. So it's like, here I am, this is me, this is my business, this is my brand. Now, in a sense, it is good to be everywhere, but you can't be everywhere. So at the start, I suggest that you do pick a couple of platforms that you're comfortable with to help you start spreading your content. For me, it's definitely Facebook. Facebook works very well for me. And you'll see in a later training why, and I will share that with you. So you pick your platform and you really start spreading your personality through your content. And when you do that, you establish in people's minds, so by people, they're your clients, your potential prospects, who you are and what your brand can do for them. And this is why frequently posting and creating content is frequently and regularly is really important. The more times people see your content in a marketing framework, the more likely they are to engage with it, because you've built up an awareness. They've seen it once, they've seen it twice, they've seen it 3 times, 10 times, 20 times. So then they become familiar with it. Once they become familiar with it, they start to think, okay, they start to consider it. And then if you have good lead magnets, then they might even opt into something and purchase it. And if you've done your job properly and they're happy with your products and services, they're going to be a repeat client and stay loyal. Some of my tutoring clients I have been teaching for over 8 years. These are my students, my younger students, my younger clients. So I've had them at infant school, they've gone through junior school and secondary school with me, and some of them are just getting ready to start senior school, and I'm already pre-booked by their parents for university exams as well. And all of that is because I built a loyal following, because I got all of these elements right. Now, obviously, I didn't get them right at the start, I've made a lot of mistakes, but one thing I've learned is about having processes and structure are so important when you have your own business, because you're self-managing. And when you look at your business like this in different sectors, it's so much easier for you to take apart the thing that doesn't work or has a problem, take it fully apart, work it out, and put it back in. That's why it's so important to have this structure. So getting back to the brand funnel, one of the biggest things it does is it builds trust with your audience. And let's face it, trusting random brands on the internet is hard, okay? Think about your relationship now with your brands, the things that you buy, the products and the services that you buy, and those brands. Think about, why have you bought them, or why do you buy them? Okay, somewhere along their marketing journey, their content marketing journey to you, they have established themselves as a form of authority. That's exactly what they've done. And you're not going to be trusting any random brand. So somewhere they've demonstrated to you that they have what you need, and that they are an authority. And this is where content marketing shines. It's really important. Now, let's just put this in a teacher terms. If you were a student and you were looking to be drawn to a new lesson online, would you be more drawn to it if it was marketed as Teacher John's Lessons? Or would you be more drawn to it if it was called, I don't know, Excalibur English? Which is actually not a bad name. I don't know if that exists. I just pulled that kind of out of my head, Excalibur English. But you can see already Excalibur English is already alluring, and it has a power and a strength and an interest to it. Whereas Teacher John's Lessons are nice, but a little bit simple, a little bit basic, nothing really going on there. So when we're talking about brand and content marketing, well, content marketing is brand in a sense. This is what I'm talking about. Now, when you implement your content strategy correctly, people, and I always use the word people in this term, think of it as your future clients. It's so easy when you start talking about customers, clients, sales, you then kind of become detached from the fact that these are actually people. So remind yourself, and that's not a criticism. It just happens because you're looking at spreadsheets and content and data and images and lesson plans and websites and emails, but just remember that they are people. So when you implement your content strategy correctly, your future clients will start to see you as an authority, and an authority in the sense that they like, know, and trust you. And that is really, really important. And I'm going to show you in a second a screenshot of that in real terms and what it does. So the success of your content marketing goals will depend on how well you plan it. You can't just throw some old content together and expect it to be a smashing success. I wish it was that easy, but it's not. So, I mean, sure, you could get lucky and something could go viral, but then you've got to follow it up, with the same content. So, I think a strategy is always wiser. Okay. And you don't really want to leave your business to luck or chance. I mean, I hope not. So real success is actually all about getting in the trenches, getting down to the nitty gritty, getting down to the dirt work, the things nobody wants to do, and finding out every single aspect of your journey. And I'm going to show you, this is a screenshot from the back end of my Facebook panel. So obviously this is one of my accounts that's actually monetized now by Facebook. So you can actually see here, because of my content strategy. So first of all, let's just note the dates. This isn't very long. This is a week. So over 5,867 minutes viewed. This is also in the Christmas period. So I don't tend to do too much in the Christmas period. So this is still quite low for me. But if you look at it judge it by the comparisons, there's still an improvement. So obviously that's what we want. We want to see an improvement. But what's really important is this. My content marketing is so effective that my organic reach is better than my paid reach. So this is paid as in ads. There are two reasons for that. One, this page actually has, I say this page, it's a page that represents a business. This is an education business. It has a lot of followers now. So when I put out some content, it hits all of my followers and they interact with it. So the reach goes a lot further. The reason why they interact with it is because I did that first part of the marketing cycle well. I really looked into and researched what they wanted. Now, when I first started, I was just doing, some live lessons, some this, some that on my on this business Facebook page. But the data was showing me that actually what was getting a much higher reach by 10 and 15 times was the engagement rate when I was actually personally interacting. And that's what they liked, because they liked me, they'd got to know and trust me. So I had built up an authority in a sense, and that repaid my post with a really good organic reach. Now, to match that reach, I would have to spend a lot more on ads, which I'm not going to do because obviously my organic reach is doing very well. And as you can see, it's doing really, really well. So 63% are obviously my followers. That this is new followers, so non-followers, 36.5%. So that's pretty healthy. So that's non-followers are starting to look as well. And as you can see, 92.5% has come from video. On this particular one, because I am currently with this particular business trying out a different content strategy with video instead of doing lots and lots of lives. And for me, the one thing at the moment is because I just have a lot to do, so it's not always possible for me to do lives as frequently as I'd like to. So I'm experimenting with pre-recorded strategy and video, and it's not doing too badly. So there we go. And the data with Facebook is really, really interesting. This doesn't lie. So it tells you what your performance is. It tells you what your loyalty is. So you can click on this and you can see exactly how loyal your fans are, or the people that are following you and your page. Who is your audience? Where are they coming from? What time of day are they looking at? What country are they in? And the retention. Retention is very important for content marketing. So retention means how long are they staying and looking at your content? Are they just looking, seeing it for a couple of seconds and then not watching most of it or any of it all the way through? If that's the case, that's not going to help you, because then Facebook will say, oh, this content isn't really any good, people aren't looking at it, and it kind of just gets pushed down there, a logarithm pile in Facebook. So you also have performance. Instant articles are blogs. So this particular business is also monetized through ads on the blog side of things, which is another reason why I think the marketing ninjas that tell you that you don't need a website just do not know what they're talking about, because as a tutor or a teacher, a teacherpreneur, you can be earning extra money from ad revenue here, and also your calls to action. So this is when you're posting on your page and you're saying learn more, get this new book, or get this new fact sheet, or whatever it is. And then the performance is basically breaking down most of these things. So there you are. So there is the proof of the pudding that good content marketing pays off. That is the point I am making with this slide. So now we're going to get into the know, like and trust factor. It's really a very simple process. People try to complicate it. It's simple. You just want to get your clients for your business to know you. So you need to put out lots of different content, to like you. So obviously you need to be evaluating what they like and try and curate content that they're going to want to engage with, and then next to trust you. That's the stepping stone. You've got them into your net, so to speak, into the top of your funnel with your content. They like it, they're engaging, but ideally what you want them to do is like buy your stuff, buy your services, book your lessons or book your courses, whatever it is. That's what you want them to do. Now, the other way that you can use your content marketing is through SEO. Digi-teach ranks on page 1 and 2 of Google for certain keywords that we've optimized for. And content is a cornerstone of a very successful content marketing strategy. Again, people that say that you don't need a website, I mean, where would Google be if we didn't have websites? We do need websites, and it does so much work for you. And Google is the biggest search engine on the planet. Let's face it, if you want to find something out, you go to Google. So have a website. You're doing yourself a disservice without one. People are always on the lookout for excellent content. And if they like your content, they're going to be linking to it, liking it and sharing it. And what this does, it tells the search engines that your content is great. And so they rank it higher and higher in its simplest terms. It's very difficult to get to that point. But, that's basically it broken down. Content is the bread and butter of search engines, like everything, meaning it's what they serve to their users. The more valuable and helpful your content is, and those two words are the key words, valuable and helpful, the more search engines are going to love your content and reward you with high rankings. Now, there's no fooling Google like there's no fooling Facebook. If you start spamming your business everywhere, putting it everywhere, they won't see that as valuable as helpful. Even if you have what you think is a helpful class or a course coming out, if you just post it everywhere randomly, they'll consider that spam. For them, you're not sharing the love of your teaching and helping people out with learning English or learning how to do fractions or whatever it is you're teaching. They don't see it like that. So your content has to be curated in a really clever way that it's valuable and helpful. And one of the ways that you do that is by using lead pages. This is a lead page, and this helps you to really develop people with an audience. So websites are good, and I really think everybody in business should have a website. However, and that's very useful because it helps to build your SEO and lots of other things. And on my website, so I have 2 and 3 different blogs. I have a blog that is public, and I have other blogs that are secretly working away, like SEO miners for me. And those blogs you can't access unless you're searching for it on Google. And this is another kind of little test I'm always doing to see what's working and what's not working. The other bonus as well is that it stops competitors copying you. In the past, I have actually had people take one of my long, extensive blog posts, turn it into a book and an e-course and sell it on Udemy. So basically just changing everything I said around. So, I have good lawyers now and very good copyright protection. However, it does happen. And also, obviously, I'm going to talk to you later on in the course about protecting your work, because it's just a real pig when somebody does that. So the idea of a lead page, which is what we're looking at here, is getting people into that funnel, into the top part of that funnel. Now, the difference between this and a website is that when people come on a website, they see lots of things like this. Yeah, they see an article, they see a picture, they see a menu with lots of options and maybe something kind of moving or flashing. And what they tend to do is they scroll up and down, scroll up and down, scroll up and down. Now, What's bad for content marketing with a website like this is that what you actually can sometimes do is you can give prospective prospects, you can give them like a paralysis. I call it the indecision paralysis, where they're not able to make a decision because there's so many choices. So they look at this and then they click off and they go and do something else. And they say, oh, I'll think about this, I'll think about that. The difference with a lead page, and you are going to get this and a few others as templates in some of the files later on, is that this stops the indecision process because it's so simple. And this works very, very, very well with foreign students. So if you're teaching English and you send them to a website, don't expect many sign-ups because they're learning a language, and the whole way we structure websites and all of the language barriers is just too much for them. Believe you me, I've done it, I've tried it. I get much more success rate with a lead page, especially with people wanting to learn English. So obviously it's kept really simple. The key elements here are a professional, clear picture, highly pixelated, at least 250 resolution that corresponds to the subject. And also you have to have these, they do have to kind of work like this because Facebook do evaluation checks as well. So if you're teaching, if you're going to be running an ad or you're creating content or on your on your Facebook page or your Instagram page or what have you, and you want to send people to a lead page like this, and it's not about teaching, it's about, I don't know, pig grazing or something, Facebook would go, no, this isn't right, and they will disallow it. So you need to be, you know, relevant. I mean, you're being a professional here, so be professional. So a good picture, number one. Number two, you need to have the hook. This is the hook. The call, the hook is what's going to stop people. How to stop teaching for $14 an hour in 2021. Now, if you were one of those poorly paid teachers, you would definitely stop and you would read this. The urgence factor, limited spots, is very subtle, but it is there. So it's, oh, right, okay, urgency, what's this? So it instantly pushes the eye down to here. Learn how to pivot your expertise into your own successful online tutoring business with this free training video. They fill it in and then that's it. Now, the other reason why this is important is because you are in control of your own data. This is huge, especially now. I don't know if you're aware of this, but Apple and Facebook are in a huge data war. In the online world of online marketing and social media and digital marketing, we have a digital pixel called the Facebook Pixel. It's wonderful. I use it in all of my businesses. It actually captures everything about people who are interacting with your content marketing on Facebook. Everything, more or less. So what country they come from, the age they are, the groups they interact with, their demographics, where they live, the job they do, how old they are, the books they read, the films they watch. The only thing it probably doesn't tell you is the clothes they wear, unless they're buying them, you know, through ads on Facebook. So you can get a huge amount of information, also their email address. Now, Apple are saying that's wrong because that's not protecting everybody's data. So Apple are saying that on their devices, that pixel will not be able to track and retain that data. So that's massive, because when you're running ads, and even before you're running ads with Facebook, this pixel holds a huge amount of data. And then when you run ads, you tell Facebook, I want to run ads to the people with this pixel that interacted on this page. But Facebook hold all that data. When you create your own lead page and you have people's name and an email address, then you are in control of your own data. So if Facebook suddenly went down tomorrow, and these things can happen, or your account for some bogus reason suddenly gets taken down on Facebook, which is also not uncommon, these things have happened, you still have your client list. So this is hugely, hugely, hugely important. And the other reason why it's really important is because of the entire process of generating highly qualified leads and turning them into a customer. When people come into the top part of your funnel, when they firstly interacted with your content marketing, they're going to come through different marketing channels. They might come through Facebook, it might come through YouTube, it might come through a blog post, it might come through recommendation. You're going to have lots and lots and lots of different marketing channels eventually. And then you're going to work out which ones really work for you, and then you're going to get rid of the ones that don't work, or you're going to have reduced activity on those and focus on the ones that really do work. Super messy picture, I hope you don't mind. Okay, but then what happens when you have that email address is when you push out something else, some more content, you say, hey, I've just done something else and I think you're going to find this really useful. So you send them an email and they go and have a look at it. And then if you do that a few times, it turns your lead into a qualified lead, which means they're not just a passerby anymore. They're actually qualified. They're qualified to look at your content. Look at it like that. And that's really important because we're building up that know, like, and trust factor on the side at the same time simultaneously. Okay. And because you own your own list, you are eventually going to make them such an amazing offer that they're not going to be able to say no. And then you're going to turn that qualified lead into a sales qualified lead. You sold them something and then they've become your customer. This is the business side of online teaching, and you have to be able to get your head around this. Now, don't worry, because I am going to show you in other trainings how we actually do that, and I am going to be giving you templates so you know how to do all of that. So don't worry, but you need to understand why you're doing this, because then you're going to be able to control all the data that comes back after you finish the challenge and be able to make it work for you. Now, there are many ways that you can generate leads, and I'm going to show you that as well in another training, but content marketing offers one of the best ROIs, and you'll hear lots of marketers going on about the ROIs. So this is the return on investment. The ROI is the return on investment. So if you're investing 5 hours a week in putting out content, and maybe you're even running some ads at £100 a month, you're going to want to see a return on investment on that time and that money. You're going to want to see how much of that turns into a qualified lead. And this is why these processes are really important, because if you're not getting here or here, then something's wrong here or here, and that's where you can take it apart and really look at it. Okay. And eventually, once you've done all of that, you're going to reach your goal, which is where you want to be and where I want to help you to get. The more specific and helpful your content is, the more qualified your leads are, okay? So I'm going to repeat that. The more specific and helpful your content is, the more qualified your leads are. A good content marketing strategy will help you organize your content and make sure everything works together. It's so easy to get lost in the grand scheme of things, especially when you're starting, because you're having to wear so many different hats. And some of the processes and the things you're going to be doing are going to be very different. It's like everything. When you use a new computer or you go and work in a new school or what have you, it takes a bit of time to get used to the logistics of things and know how things work. But with a good content plan in place, you can steer your business and your brand towards achieving your ultimate goal, whatever it may be. So that's the training for today, and I really hope that has really helped you understand exactly what content marketing is, because we're going to start We're going to start getting the net ready in the next training. But for now, if you just look down below and complete the assignment, that is going to help you consolidate everything that you have learnt in this lesson.